And so I would say there's a dance between continuously trying new things and coming back to the platforms over and over again, maybe a little bit better or trying something a little bit different and letting it be okay if we don't. And I think
Yeah.
that in and of itself is a beautiful dance of how do I keep on optimizing? How do I keep on making this better? How do I keep on returning to showing up here and be okay with it if I don't?
Yeah, yeah. Because the rule, as we were talking about the conventional rules, is you must post whatever platform you're on. You must post at least once a week, or some people say daily, depending upon the platform and who's speaking. But I like how you just follow your own rules. Because what I've noticed you had is a lot of longevity. Like you even said you started creating before 2020, but I started paying attention to your content in 2020, and we're in 2023 now. There's 3 years. I started in like 2013. Like I started, then I stopped, and then started again in like 15 and stopped, and it started in 20, and like I was stopped for like years at a time. But I like how you've just gone for years.
Okay, this is super important what you're saying right now, Jasmine. I really want to underline this for your audience and also as a reminder for me and for you.
Mm-hmm.
What you're saying right now is so important. And that is, we have this very short sighted view that we have to do it a certain way. And when we don't, it's easy to get down on ourselves. But the truth is that when we're content creators, we're creating content that exists forever. And it's
True.
really hard to look at it from the long term. But if you creep on creating content, even if you're changing platforms and you're changing style, at some point you're going to look back and go, whoa, I have a lot of content. Like, for example, even though I've completely abandoned my audio podcast for now, who knows? Maybe I'll start posting my audio versions of my YouTube podcast back on my audio platform, which is on Libsyn. And again, at some point, but I haven't actually posted for a couple of years on my audio platform, but I still have 132 episodes of really, some of them
Nice.
really good interviews. And who knew when I started, I was going to get to a point where I'm going to be, oh, you have 132 episodes, a good chunk of which are really, really good interviews. And they're still getting views. They're still getting listens. You
Mm-hmm.
know, my numbers on Libsyn are still going up. And so I think there's something really important to having the long view, even as we can get so seduced by or overwhelmed by or discouraged by the short-term view where we'll put ourselves through for not being regular or for taking a break or whatever. The bottom line is when we create content, we're creating a body of work that we are continuously contributing it to, maybe a little bit, maybe a lot, maybe various platforms, but we're continuously creating and adding to a body of work.
Yeah, I like that. And I remember I went through this phase maybe like 2 years ago where I would complain to one of my closest friends that I didn't have a body of work. I'm like, everybody has these bodies of work. I have no body of work. I'm so sad. She's like, no, you do have a body of work. It's just spread out across different platforms. But because like I've written books and in podcasts and in videos. She's like, you do have a body of work, but I didn't see it that way because I didn't have this one catalog of books under one pen name or this one YouTube station with hundreds of videos, but I do have a body of work. It's just spread out across different mediums and platforms.
I love that. And I think it's exactly the right thing. And part of the reason that we think we don't have a body of work is because, especially if we're very creative people who are thinking about things, ongoingly, that once we move on to something else, we kind of forget about the other thing, and I'll
Yeah.
give you an example of that is that when I was probably 15 years. I stopped acting when I had my first kid, which was 1998, and that kid's 24 now. So I stopped acting 24 years ago. And I'm going to say that for the first 15 years after I stopped acting, no one knew had been an actor because I never talked about it because I thought of it as being something I used to do. Now my
Mm.
perspective is that is part of my body of work and it's part of my experience in the world. It's part of what I build on. It's part of what I teach speaking skills from. It's a part of my history and it's a part of who I am. And we have the tendency to, as we move on, especially if we're people who get more involved in the next thing, to put those things as, oh, that was the past, or that book doesn't really count because it's not what I'm doing now. And so some of that is a psychological shift, like you're expressing right now and underlying in an important way, which is that our body of work is our body of work. And sometimes because we don't have it all in one place, we forget to include it as part of the whole package that is us and our knowledge.